Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Divorce Unplugged podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nicole Cox. You probably recognize me as the family law liaison on socials, and I have a co-host.
Hi, everybody. Keegan Burke. You may know me as Divorceology on socials. My disclosure is not a lawyer, not lawyering, not legal advice, not giving you legal advice, none of those things. This is a conversation about our experiences and knowledge in the space, but really it's just a discussion.
Exactly. Good job, Keegan. I am an attorney. I am not your attorney. That is my disclaimer, and we are not giving legal advice. This is just raw conversation.
Today, we're going to talk about one area that is something we see and hear absolutely insane stories, videos, scenarios. We've all been through some very unique experiences, and that's the child custody exchange. And so today we're going to get into things that you should do, things that you should not do, things that you need to consider leading up to it and going through it, and why it's so important.
Yes, good opener for that, Keegan, because I have seen so many of my clients have many issues on the exchange, drop-off, and pickup. Yes, and what would you say is one of the most disadvantage of the drop-off and pickup?
So if you're in a high conflict situation, if you've got a difficult opposing party, I think the issue with exchanges generally is that is where the two parties generally end up together without governance, without people
Yes.
giving you guidance or authority. It's where your behaviors and your actions are or could be exposed. It's where people have high emotions. Kids are actually part of the equation, which, by the way, is stressful anyway, because kids struggle with exchanges, even in perfect situations, right? It's a transition experience. It's oftentimes a new experience. So there are so many things that go into a child custody exchange. And I think so many things that can happen that can hurt you and your case at an exchange. So I guess my question to you is, what are your thoughts on exchange location?
Okay, so for me personally, and I am a very big proponent of this, and I am sure you will disagree with me, but that's okay. I think the best place for an exchange is literally in the police station parking lot. And I tell all of my clients to ask for this in court orders. I just think it keeps everything clean, and it literally helps so that each person maybe feels a little more protected. And maybe the person, if there's any domestic violence involved, they feel safe there. And if there's somebody on the other side that maybe feels like they could be accused of something they haven't done, because there are cameras in those parking lots. And whether or not there's a police officer present, I think you can go inside the building and find one.
Yeah,
That's my simple answer.
So I think generally it's a sensible option. I think most people, who are dealing with a challenging situation, you just feel more confident in a police station. My only caveat to that is two things. One is kids, right? How is it going to make the kids feel? Is it necessary? But really, two, how do I put this? Do not go into a police station, parking lot, or lobby exchange thinking that will stop the other party from misbehaving, right? So
That's an interesting point.
yeah,
That is an interesting point.
when I say that, and I say that because the second misbehavior happens, people tend to react. And now you've got multiple misbehaviors or multiple bad decisions. And so you still need to go in with a certain amount of vigil. You have to be of your senses. You have to remain calm. You also have to remember that generally the police, unless somebody's getting the crap beat out of them, aren't going to intervene in a family law or civil matter. They're there to watch, which is what you want. You want eyes on the situation. Hopefully it's going to deter bad behavior, but it is not the end all be all.
No, and I hear what you're saying, because they're definitely not going to stop a parent from yelling at another parent and from somebody, saying inappropriate things in front of a child. You brought up a good point, and I do think it's important to talk about because a lot of the time judges will argue this, just for our audience to know, is that it is and can be not so great for an older child to have to go into a police, especially the police lobby. I
Mhm.
would say the parking lot, maybe not so bad. I think when they're younger children and there's domestic violence involved, I don't think the parking lot of the police station is that detrimental.
Mhm.
And maybe it's not even that helpful. You
Yeah.
know, you made a good point. I think a lot of the time it's used for people that have been domestic violence survivors, which it is Survivor Month in October. So I wanted to point that out. But it can be helpful to soothe maybe their anxiety. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I can tell you personally, one of my experiences was I was afraid that because I was being threatened, that I would be followed after the drop off. So I personally felt safer if I was in the police station parking lot. And that's a whole nother subject for a different day.
That it is, and I would say that, well, one, they can still pull out and follow you.
Right. It wasn't going to save me, right?
Yeah, yeah. 2, I do think that it is, I think it's acceptable. I still think that it's one of those things that it's an exchange and the emotions are high and so that takes it to okay, if you can't do a police station because there isn't one that's conveniently located, or it's an office location, whatever it might be, administrative building. What are other options? How do you feel about bringing witnesses or recording an exchange? What are your thoughts there?
So I absolutely think witnesses are fantastic. And here's kind of an example. When some of my clients have supervised visits, that supervisor is a perfect person for pickup and drop off to be there and in a supervisory role to make sure that nothing, goes wrong, obviously. And people are usually on their best behavior. So if you bring somebody, a witness, if you have a supervisor with you, I think those are great ways to handle a drop off, pickup. And then when we talk about the videoing, I mean, we've talked about this before on our podcast. Is it a one party or two party state? If it's a one party state, yes, absolutely video everything you can. And I've had really crazy scenarios with clients where we were not in a situation that was a very safe pickup drop off. And then one person was accused of trying to run my client over and was angry with the kids in the car. There was somebody, a security guard there, that was a witness to that incident. But I mean, it's always like you're kind of walking into a battleground.
Yeah, well, and I think hopefully the idea that when we get through this is we don't want it to be a battleground.
Right.
And couple things from a police station standpoint, I'm an advocate to avoid being falsely accused of,
Right.
being violent, yelling, abusing, doing any of those things. So I think for those that are being accused of incorrectly or improperly should consider it. I think
Right.
from a witness standpoint, the witness you don't want to bring is a family or a friend that is going to inflame the situation, going to be chattering in the background, going to be making comments on the side, going to
Yes.
be instigating problems for you or your children. That is the worst thing you can do. From a
Mhm.
recording standpoint, right? I correct people all the time. If you're going to record, just record. You don't need to narrate. You don't need to make comments up there. She goes doing it again, or
No,
oh,
stop
great, thanks.
narrating your own video.
Right.
Thank you.
We don't
Don't narrate
need
your
that.
own video.
We don't need that. We don't want that. And I think it ultimately the other thing too, and I think a lot of courts these days are taking the position that video recording is instigating a situation and they're ordering you not to have the exchanges or certain situations videoed because it does create a certain level of anxiety for both parties, right? Whether it's the party trying to capture the video and behaviors are not as natural, which is exactly why I say passive video, protect yourself from either being abused or being accused of abusing. Very important. And by the way, to your one or two party state, you're in a public place, you can record, right?
Yeah.
Passively. So make sure you do if you can. And ultimately, the other thing too is if you can't, as quickly as possible, document what happened. Let's not go home and do it days later. Have a journal or a log that allows you to timestamp it so that you can capture exactly what happened, exactly when it happened, and you have that data for use later, right? So
I
those are
like
things
that
I think about.
idea of journaling it. I do have my clients journal often, and I just have an example where it's a little bit humorous. One person throws out a phone and puts it in somebody's face, then the other one has the phone, and like my client felt like her co-parent or whatever you want to say, opposing party was getting too close to her, and she just threw out the phone in his face. And then you're going to automatically put somebody on the defense with that. Nobody wants to be videoed, and
Yep.
especially when you put a phone up. So that's just going to actually like infuse this, like it's going to make it even worse. And also you've got children that are there watching, and always keep that in mind, because you don't want them to go back. And it's hard because they're probably crying on, especially if they're younger, the littles, they have a hard time with those drop offs and pickups. So I think you did make a good point about places. There are, and it has been used often in California and Arizona, for example, but they'll say like I don't know if you want to say like a 7-Eleven or some type of a convenience store, because supposedly they run or they have camera rolling, right? But the thing about that is, and to keep this in mind, is the only way you can get that footage is if there's a criminal case and something criminal happens. You can't just say, hey, I'd like the footage of that when my ex and I were arguing in the parking lot. That's not going to happen.
Sure, sure. And then the other thing too that I think is where opportunity exists to have problems is communication. And so I always recommend you don't communicate with the other party unless it's an absolute necessity. Maybe it's a medical related topic or something physical. But outside of that, it's the kids go from one spot to the other, one vehicle to the other, one sidewalk to the car, whatever it is. That is not where you air your grievances. That is not where you communicate about stuff. And for the men in this conversation, you should go to an exchange with everything that you need to have that child in your care. You don't need anything. And you could say this for women too. You should not need anything from the other party to take receipt of your child. You shouldn't be asking for anything. If you need a coat, if it's cold out, if it's a car seat, you should have one. If it's diapers, wipes, food, doesn't matter. If the other party takes something and doesn't deliver it back, who cares? These are not
I
the situations where oh, give me that toy back. He went with a toy or she went with a toy. No, it is not a place. Aren't trading documents, you aren't trading topics, nothing. That isn't the place for it.
Absolutely not. And I totally agree with you. Now, here's where this gets a little bit gray. There's a gray area here. So I have situations where my clients' children maybe get a little bit sick, they have an ear infection, maybe somebody gets burned. So now you're having to pass certain medications back and forth, right? But then that becomes an issue, because if it's an over the counter medication, somebody may have kept the Tylenol, or you know what I'm saying? And then I always say, just go buy it and let's not even argue over it.
Yeah,
Just
and
let them keep the Tylenol, please.
yeah, if it's over the counter, you should have it. If it's prescription, and by the way, all of this should be communicated separately in advance, right? Hey, they have an ear infection. I'm sending them with XYZ. It will be in this bag. Very clear, very concise, right? It's really that simple. And by the way, if something does come up that's a problem, don't engage in the problem, because it's not going to get resolved there. It's not going to look good if you try to resolve it there. Everything, this comes back to the whole patience thing that we always say. It's slow, it's methodical. You can communicate in writing, you can have a meet and confer, whatever it is. It's not the exchange that you deal with those problems, period.
No, exactly. And I said Tylenol just off the cuff. I wasn't, because I know there's a little bit of
Yeah.
controversy surrounding that right now. It could be any sort of medication. In this situation with my client, it was actually Vaseline for a
Hmm.
burn.
Hmm.
And I was like, just buy some new Vaseline. But I hear what you're saying. And I think the journaling piece is important. I do have clients that journal back and forth about, well, at drop off, they'll send a journal with them, or they'll just do it via, like, email, so that the other parent knows what to expect, what's happened in that 4 or 5 days, and what the medications are, but they don't have to actually speak to each other. So I think it's nice if you don't have to speak to the other.
Yeah, avoid it at all costs. It's not going to do you or the children any good whatsoever. The other thing too that I think frustrates people, and you have to be more patient and mindful is you know be on time, right? That's one. If you're delivering the kids, do what you can to be on time, and if anything, be maybe a couple minutes early. But if the other side is late, like you hear it all the time, right? Oh, they're never on time. They're never okay. Well, that's the norm. That's how they're going to behave. That's the action they're going to take. That's the button they're going to press on you. Let it go, document it, right? And move on. Take your time
Right.
when they get there. And I would argue anybody who's late, you're just being a scumbag. Do your part, be on time.
Mhm.
Sometimes traffic happens, especially in California, Arizona, New York, all the others, right? Traffic happens, accidents happen. But if you are going to be late, it doesn't hurt to pull over, send a quick message. Hey, we're running 10 minutes behind, want you to know. That's a really thoughtful thing. It also looks good, right? You're being a proactive, cooperative person. Everything doesn't have to be this. So
Right.
take advantage of the opportunity to be open and upfront with, hey, I'm running behind.
And to that note, judges like to see when people are trying to co-parent.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And
with
then
that,
the one that drives me absolutely bananas is the kids, like I said, in a perfect transition, perfect co-parents struggle with the transition. It's a pretty normal thing. It's they're going from one environment to the other. Stop the excessive goodbyes. Stop delaying the goodbyes. Stop giving them the chance to come back and hug you again and create emotions for them to cry through it, or oh, they don't want to go to mom or they don't want to go to dad. No, listen, kids don't like change, and this
I
is
know.
change. If anything, and this was something I practiced, I did my goodbyes. I did it once. I did it generally beforehand so that when they left the car, love you, see you later, right? Like it was, this is not the time for me as the adult to get my feels out, or not really a good opportunity to go, oh, the kid's in a bad mood, or they don't want to go here, they don't want to go there to use it against the other party. It's not a legitimate position in most cases.
I
Again,
do that with my clients. I tell them it doesn't matter. They're going to be upset going from one place to the other. It has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with father.
yep,
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing, and we've talked about this before, but I always would encourage a happy, nice visit. You're going to have so much fun with your mother. You're going to have so much fun with your father,
yeah,
and leave it there.
yeah.
And it hurts. It hurts the other parent. It does hurt. I've been there. It breaks your heart.
Eh,
But you
uh,
have to just make them feel good, and then behind closed doors, do your crying.
Now, here's the thing. I will say this because I hear it all the time. Don't throw in, have a nice visit, have a nice, like the whole visit thing is no, that's their parent, right? It's go have fun with mom, go have fun with dad, whatever it is. You're not throwing in that they're visiting, it's a limited in scope experience, right? That's their parents' time, that's their time with their parents. And by the way, it's I'm not saying that because it bothers me as a person. It's more like you're putting that pressure and that feeling on the kid that this is a temporary thing, right? Hey, go have fun. Like you go to the park, you go to the a game, whatever it is. You're not saying for that moment in time. You're saying go play a good game, go have a good time at your birthday party, whatever it is. The little visit comments, right? Oh, enjoy your visit with mom or enjoy your visit with dad. Those are daggers. Those are instigative comments, and I think that they work for a lot of people. So avoid it. Just it is like you said. Be positive, have fun. See you in a little bit. See you tomorrow. Whatever it is, when you're going to see them next.
Right, that's a good point. Just say, "Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun with your dad, have fun with your mom,"
Right.
and leave it there.
Yep. Exactly. And then the other final point I would make is for those that are, doing exchanges at police stations, don't overuse police reports, right? Oh, they're late, filed a police report. Oh, they're, a toy. I've had people file police reports because a toy didn't come back. Oh, mother stole the toy or father stole the toy. Like, guys,
Well,
girls,
that just
come
makes
on.
the other person that made the report look bad,
Dilutes credibility for sure.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So, in closing, what is your thoughts?
Plan ahead, be prepared, have what you need, avoid confrontation, avoid communication. If you can get in and out without having to say one word to the other party, excellent. Make it simple. The kids are going to feel your energy whether you want them to or not. So be calm. It's a simple process. That's their mom, that's their dad. They're going to one side or the other. This is You're supposed to be facilitating it all the way around. So instead of making it a battle, make it a collective effort for the kids. Put the kids
Okay,
first.
I agree with you. I say keep it simple and try to keep it positive.
100%. I think it's a good topic, and I'm sure we could go on and on for days about it. And I'm sure we'll get questions about certain situations, and we're happy to answer them. But for now, thank you. Like, listen, subscribe, do all the things. And until next time.
We'll see you soon.